Hola so. Any ngake kondo wa samba.
Hola, siapa begitu?
Oh yeah. La so any datring at yanchatila. Any nyami Gampopa can say ya jogalam chori chinchwa. The chutu jebala. Any nyamjo nanki chamala. Any ngaran to go come the legit. Chunche, chuni. Any de la Tucson gom some sigili. Then the Kawazambotila and Tuji chase chamal de sugar in Istanbul.
We'll be continuing with our now 8th session of instructions on the Precious Garland of the Supreme Path by the incomparable Gampopa, with our explanation and listening to it, and then practicing our listening, contemplation, and meditation.
Thank you so much, everyone. Very happy to be here. And also, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you. That ring to chutun de chutun jeba chade yuri. The day the tane, that telang humana jinse, the bonge, maranga zavala mata jubela malaso ballet in the soa top. And the chiranzoka yam the soa top. What in the nanshos?
So as usual, I'll begin with the preliminary recitations, the prayers to my root guru and lineage gurus, and you also make your make your aspirations and prayers at the same time.
Ninje Jimbo Zude Nime de Zune Monan Jimbo Ngabjada Bekadangan Sindu Silmedo Tumba Tuji Jinan Gursan Nido Jimbe Paya Liman de Lodu Jimbe Jugu Dini Se Drupa Jimbe Chumdur Jian de Losa Jimbe Shablang Gursan Nimde Jimbe Kada Zine Je Gabji Jimbe Lama Nibaranze Sundu Jimbe Tripe Jansin Are Pa Jimbe Shablang Gursan Tiba Jimbe Rinchoyong Se Saja Jimbe Topang De Chile Jimbo Kadar Nyambarada Nyingom Jimbe Shablang Gursan Shizan Kalan Chirab Jinkoroji Zebe Dondur Zalina Po Jarva Dimba Kone Sanzeba Gaju Lama Naulang Gursan Jarwa Kunji Zichi Shika Jikdu Bagari Dakarawa Pamchon Jikdiwa Shodrubaga Kamsum Dova Lama Gursan Partin Zava Lama Rumboji Dagaji Warabe Medijola Karin Chimbe Kone Jizong de Kusong Tu Jeng Zada Yote Sanje Kuda Nyamnaya Kati Sanje Kum Ela Bengo Zavala Me Shabla Soande Dasondo Lona Chuse Kanda Sobji Donge Jitina Deshi Homra Jibagan Seda Tendere Timbe Chujen Chambe Simbrande Ba Tamchen Deshi Namaria Dambala Yeke Daludan Nipjinke Drum Dad American Andan Dua Kunje Dake Jisamba Tamjeke the Dage Chute Majundua Namkan Tadanyam Besimchi Tamji, Sijedohan Tada Ledrade, number Tinji Deva, Lana Meba, Yanda Bazoba Sanji Comparumboji, Jenejang Tobrasa. Tati Chide Tambechu Samondini, Tsujin the Sine, Nyamsalambar Gio, Nyambagone, Sinchar.
O benevolent root Guru, who is in essence all Buddhas of the past, present, and future, with great devotion I prostrate to you and go for refuge to you with my body, speech, and mind. Please grant your blessings to be cared for by you inseparably in this lifetime and all of my future lives. Clean ground of pure ethical discipline, beautified by mountains of unfathomable samadhi, illuminating all things with wisdom light of the sun and moon, Supreme Buddha who accomplishes the welfare of all, please bestow virtue and goodness. Your mandala expanding throughout space in knowledge of all things, beautiful thousand-fold light striking the lands of trainees, fully illuminating all of Buddha's teachings in their entirety. With devotion I prostrate to the great jewel of the Kagyu. O glorious and precious root Guru, please take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me in your great kindness. Please grant attainments of body, speech, and mind, equal to all Buddhas in qualities of realization, yet surpassing all Buddhas in kindness to me. I pray at the feet of my root Guru, O protector, please turn the minds of myself and all beings towards the Dharma. All you have become disciples of the Sugatas, those gone to bliss, throughout the billions of worlds of the 10 directions. All of you who wish to hear the Dharma raining down here and now, may you come here. Namo, in languages of devas, nagas, and yakshas, languages of kumbhandas and human beings, in the sounds of whatever beings exist, in every language I shall teach the Dharma. Please listen well with the motivation of bodhicitta, thinking all mother sentient beings equal to the extent of space must by all means attain unexcelled eternal bliss of perfect complete Buddhahood. To accomplish this, I shall listen carefully without distraction to the Mahayana teachings being given here and put them into practice.
Lasso, Tadela, and the Kanshi Simbarasavich, Tatenga to Kapsa Papa, and Nyami Taborumochi, Tangunetani, Hachang Dindata Trawak, Hachan Dindata Trawak, the Kadamba Gavishini, and it lapart the Kagyu Paketa, Kagyu Pakangni Yong Saketa, Kagyu Chief Jichungi Yong Suzopa Tamaketa, Zawanda Titini Chade Yuri, Masi some Jimachapake, and Jetang Sanji Trupain son and Doinani Longti Mambo son Yuri, Gampopa, all the chicken, and Danga made the songa. And lam chorin chinchung sine samji ma chabaka dangwa tande chi chade yori o de manchi yari isi.
So our subject is that precious garland of the supreme path by the incomparable Gampopa. Gampopa was truly incomparable. He was peerless. There was no one to match him, and of special importance to the Kagyu tradition, really the source of Kagyu written tradition. And so these really amazing instructions from him of the precious garland of the supreme path.
Jetang Gampopa in a sanje ka long tine khorang ka trupain son the long simdele tenze de cheke tinjing ki jiwe chik tang te ke nze ya jo ke ni timji chimbo samje ma chaba ta tande chi ni chade yori isi.
And he was also, prophesied by Buddha in many scriptures. So he's both prophesied and of great importance to the lineage.
Ani tambo de la nge kare shindu chongso sedi zane chama simba jibo se ya de ga yin de chu ni ya da ga yin de zhuo yin de nga tende sonam chimbo tren lama tende chicken de ne sabchun tende chik chu shu ya de da nga dai na lama che de yime de nge she shi ge me de da lama ya bo chicken de ne sung chu shu ya ke ko ga ra ya de ha jang za chimbo tende yin de zane 송춘 든지 라만 든지 든지 shune tata yungju de haja za chimbo yin samba sene sin the gawa, sin the toa. Oh, the ya, so lot, the zing to go is represent.
So I want to encourage you to feel great joy to be able to hear this such a sacred, precious teaching by such an amazing master. I want to emphasize that I feel it's really important for us to contemplate our extreme good fortune and to develop a great sense of joy in being able to have this opportunity.
I'm not going to say I am a good teacher, but when you meet the good teacher, when you listen to the teaching from the very, very, just like the Mai Rutger, Sanje Tinji Rinpoche, and also His Holiness Dalai Lama, is so joyful that moment, you know. It's so important if Jampa Tharchin gapsarte tene rinji nyunayang kungsi sawa tang leka tang tsindi sawa inayinda tsismi sawa leka inayinda karechik sewa inayang tsama dechik chide sem towan perbak chide sem la gapto yung chide de nga chuta nenga ngoma de chade yore isi.
So the main point here is all about our happiness. This is all geared towards feeling more joy, more happiness, more contentment, fulfillment in our lives, both in this lifetime as well as in all of our future lifetimes.
Yeah. 다 딜라 담보 무유기 취데 마실라 흥나 흥로기 취데 하장 개 침보 차대요. 딜라양 아니 공홍주네 추 간듯이 닌거 유미 추세야 돼. 간듯 개 침보인 바다 추 간듯이 닌거 유미데 뭐마 샴바 타신 그 전능의 시야주게 근데 정해 줄라다 이미지 땅인 봐. 근데 대 마지 라야나.
And as important as the main teaching is, the preliminary practice, the motivation with which we listen to the teachings is all important. And I've written something about that in the past that I'd like to ask our translator, Jampa Tharchin, to read now. How to listen to Dharma in brief. Today I will say a bit about how Dharma should be taught and received. Generally speaking, it's one's own free choice whether to enter into the teachings of Buddha and practice them or not. I also have never bragged about Dharma, saying that Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism in particular are the best, or that you all must follow me and become Buddhist. Buddha himself said, "O monks and scholars, check my teachings just as you would gold, by melting, cutting, and polishing it. Only then accept them, not just out of respect for me." Buddha's teaching should not be followed with blind faith. It has never been my intention just to spread Dharma in America and convert as many people to Buddhism as I can. My true intention has been to sow a small seed of inner peace and happiness in your minds. The example I have presented is that Dharma is a medicine, Buddha is a doctor, the Dharma center is a hospital, delusions are a sickness, and we are the patients. Patients with different kinds of disease and different kinds of medicine. All medicines cannot treat the same illness. For this reason, all the world's religions are good. They are all similarly based in contentment, patience, pure morality, and so on. It is just like for disease. Various medicines are needed because the diseases are different. What I know, however, is Buddhism. I don't know other religions. From my perspective, this knowledge is something very important for our present day. Buddhist scriptures assert that if you want true happiness, you must first study the teachings. And when you study, you must first find a good teacher. Once you find a good teacher, you must sit before them and listen to Dharma teachings. You should listen with single-pointed focus of your body, speech, and mind with the perceptions, as I mentioned above, of yourself as a patient, Dharma as medicine, and the teacher as a doctor. You also need to be free of three faults of a vessel. The first of these is not listening, like a vessel that is upside down. You're sitting in the teaching, but your mind is distracted elsewhere. You fall asleep or talk about meaningless things. If you attend without paying attention, it is like a vessel that has spilled. Whatever liquid you try to pour into it, tea, water, etc., it won't go in. So first, it is important to really listen. The second fault of a vessel is not to keep the teachings in mind, like a vessel with a leak. If you listen, but you can't remember anything, it is like a vessel that is right side up, but unfortunately has a hole in the bottom, so nothing poured into it will remain inside. You must be able to remember what is taught with stable certainty. The third fault of a vessel is listening with delusion, like a vessel that contains poison. In this case, the teachings are heard and remembered, but unfortunately with a bad motivation. Such motivation would be, for example, seeking to compete with others, being jealous of your Dharma friends, or planning on making a living in the future by putting the teachings you have heard up for sale. You must make sure to listen to the teachings with a good, compassionate motivation, unstained by delusions. Refraining from these faults is not a rule imposed on students by a teacher, but were taught by Buddha so the teachings could integrate with and transform your mind. If the teachings can really affect your mind, you will be able to decrease the force of delusions and eventually abandon them completely. If you can free your mind from delusion, you will experience inner peace and happiness. Ultimately, this is all taught for your own well-being. Before Buddha taught the main body of his teachings, he would say, "Hey, sons and daughters of the lineage, listen well, keep this in mind, and I will explain." First, it is very important to listen with single-pointed attention without distraction. If you don't first listen, you will have no idea whether the teacher has given a good explanation or not. Whether the teacher's explanation is good or not, from your side, you must listen and remember it so you can examine the teacher and their teachings in order to accept or reject them, have questions, and so forth. Then you will know whether the teacher is correct or not. If you need to examine a teacher, you must first attend their teachings and listen to them. It is very important for you to listen well, even if you don't understand. I never say that whatever Dharma I teach today is very good and you must definitely listen to me. For the time being, I've already become your teacher. If I don't explain things well with a good motivation, it is my mistake. Whether you listen or not is your responsibility. From another point of view, you are supposed to be my disciples. In the future, many teachers will come here to our Dharma center. If we attend their teachings improperly, it is not impossible that these teachers would become displeased. Also, everyone comes here wishing to hear good teachings of Dharma. Without this wish, they would not come. We can all make mistakes, however. Many mistakes occur because of not knowing. We must learn about what we do not presently know and to do what we must learn from others. It is for this reason that I have briefly explained about how to listen to Dharma teachings. I wrote this without intending to address anyone in particular, but just in case it would help new students in the future to know how to listen to Dharma. Please, everyone, keep this in mind.
Lasso, Tatila, my Chishike, Popaka, Injishikava, Tatinani, and Dorduchu Mashua in that Jurgoya Mado, Tati, the Inchiting, should I inchit the Pokel Sergio Dasama? Oh,
Okay, so now I'm going to translate some of this back into Tibetan for the Tibetan disciples. I'll
no,
briefly,
I am become your translator.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Oh yeah, any Jampa Tharchin like Karisung Sung Sina. Any Adina Nenga Sumdoa, now I'm a Kabab Tavichu, Yelamenzin Shabder Tavichu, you mount Andi to King Tavichu, si Jun Sum Seade. Now I'm Matevaina, no Kabab Tola Lobaina, Nugana Yongo Marwa. Now I'm a Kabab Tavichu. Yela, now I take Yela Manzina, no Kaya Zideona, any new day, Shab Dordeona. Any dinner that you can't alone, any Nana Chagamarawa, you need about to say. Any now I at the Yila and Z, that Malawa Chigla, any Kulong in Bewanga Sone, any new motto sometime, the same that Hadolas of Potendican dinner, any chini by ina, any Jew Nangla Yunayang, that Kalaka Jew Zambojuna, Telatung this one, Chaki is. The day do done now I'm at the cupboard with you, Yila Menzin Shabdurta with you, you montandi to Kinta with you. Tichun the Bangores. And then round and neben do she, Chula Mingin do she, Lamala Mimbin do she. Any Nindin Yamselin Bala, Nen Yavan Soven do she, last upon do she ye tone. I got to choose at the social penny tapsis of Yura. Lame she the Kapsoya, Nazola penny tapsis of Yuri. 치랑주 삼로 단데야 소소를 피니 탑시지 저거요. 피니 탑시대 너무 문이야 줘야 요래. 라메케자 시에는 직북이 연거 말이야. 너무 문이 삼로 주지 땅네. 나래 피니 탑시대 내 간지 좋고도. 백 개치 모르는데 어디나니 들고 다 시에요 요래. 라서 대주야. 다 되게 중무시들라 만로기 무시들라 아니 들은 같이 추트 제바들이 아니 제바들라 단 닌딘도 사베 추쩌네 주친시 이제 감보버 되야도 사는 닌딘도 사베 추쩌네 레 당보베 투삼란 닌딘샤 냠뇽지네 gond올란 닌딘샤 띠바 마토 파르티 빈발란 닌딘샤 초구 시에지나 릭바 준발란 닌딘샤 시모 시에지나 릭바 승발란 닌딘샤 로 마틴 바드 냠샤란 닌딘샤 냠샤르 띠네 지톱란 닌딘샤 문튼번 가지만의 즈바 숨란 닌딘샤 는데 시에치나 신바 찐탑설로 발란 닌딘샤 잠도 닌제 시에종나 상주지 세조발란 닌딘샤 다 되네 닌딘샤베 주죠.
So in this 8th session of instructions on the Precious Garland of the Supreme Path, the next set of 10 that we will look at are those 10 things to emphasize. Beginners should emphasize hearing and reflection. When experience has arisen, emphasize meditation practice. Until you attain stability, emphasize solitude. If excitement predominates, emphasize the subduing of awareness. If torpor and depression predominate, emphasize the expansion of awareness. Until your mind is stable, emphasize even placement. When even placement has been stabilized, emphasize subsequent attainment. If unconducive conditions are many, emphasize threefold patience. If desire, hope, attachment, and craving are great, emphasize forceful renunciation. If love and compassion are weak, emphasize the cultivation of bodhicitta. Those are the 10 things to emphasize.
올라서 나되게 달래 담보 빼시 달래 담보 빠시 담보 난치랑 고슐리 값서 담보 니니 투바데 침보인시 단디나냐 레 담보 빼 투발는 디사 투삼는 디사 송도와 딘디디사니 디나네 가레송도 요리시디 자네 마추 곰 자세거도 곰 담보 니니 뭐망보치 그 곰자기 인세기 곰자기 인바이나 담보 곰 간데시 자고 유미도 하고야도 개치 모르와 간데시 자고 유미 하고 이나 라마치 짤고 유리 라마 티근 드네 아니 곰 던데시 자고리 곰 던데시 자 닝가 마리 곰 던데시 자고리 시아치게 란도르 그네 뚱킹가 라마 체다 딤바치 냠뇽진지 고르와 어딘지 인도 자니 디나니 레 담보 빼 아니 투삼라니 디사시
So the first line says beginners should emphasize hearing and reflection. So at the very beginning, it's important to study, to hear the teachings and contemplate them. Our purpose is meditation, and many people are immediately focused on doing meditation. But if we don't know how to meditate, it will be very difficult. So therefore, in the beginning, for someone who's entering into the practice, they definitely need a teacher will explain to them, what to meditate, how to meditate upon them, to explain them what are advisable ways of practicing and meditating and what are not. So what to abandon and what to adopt. This is what we need to learn in the beginning from a teacher in order to know how to meditate, what to meditate on.
투바데 가르치듯이 요리 시드잖아요. 투바데 가르치듯이 요리 삼비치드. 삼바데 가르치듯이 요리 시드잖아요. 아니 삼바데 공치드. 곰데 가르치듯이 요리 시드잖아요. 유몽그 니볼라노 치드. 유몽 빵나 가르 용그 요리 시드잖아요. 아니 저랑라 타바토버리시야. Oda de de zane ko tangbo chik la tangbo tuba ta rinpe yin de chik yue la ti ni chik ndewe yongwa na yin. Chik tab la ti ni chik tab zong yongwa na yin. O de de yong de kedwa.
So we listen for the purpose of thinking about it, of contemplating, reflecting upon what we've heard. Then we reflect on things in order to meditate on them. And we meditate in order to eliminate the delusions, afflictions of our mind. And if we can remove afflictions from our mind, we'll attain liberation. So it's a step-by-step process like this, where each step is for the purpose of the next step. It's a cause and effect progression from hearing, listening, to reflecting and thinking, to meditation, to the elimination of delusions and attainment of liberation.
Da de ge tuba se samba se chadu. Any yuma ti niba de ke. Da tangbo tuba si go si go ma jab lang na. Da de ya rinpe yin de tangbo ti niba lan rwa yu, niba de sumba lan rwa yu, rinpe yin de cha de wa. De de zane tangbo tu sam se chadu. Niba de ke, any tu sam se chali kapsu samba de la any nyamnyong che ke do wa. Nyamnyong di sa de nyamnyong se ya de jiba che ma le che ke yuri. Samba de ke nyamnyong che de jiba che ma de any gom la shan ne. Gomle shandu zane, ini yuma ngusum tsema ka tokpa jiya, tanda yungu yorwa. Tende zane, nyamnyong jine si, jiba tseme nyamnyong jine si. Ini dii kapsu taa churanka, ini gomja kore si. Kanyi se na, jiba tseme nyamnyong ji, ngusum tseme tokpa ngundu choni kapsu, ini churanka taa gomga maanjinda jingo tani tsuka yori. Pechi yawa ina, dam pingo yuna, hagini min tongdo yori taa. 당연 다음 방나 딱딱 민통성 싸바지 요거 요러. 오 대식이 요래. 다 냠냠찌네 검접렸는 딘샤시.
Then in the next line, when experience has arisen, emphasize meditation practice. So here you see the next step after the hearing and reflection to emphasize meditation practice. So in this kind of progression, through our study, through our hearing the teachings and thinking about them, we can develop valid cognition of an inferential type. We can develop a conceptual understanding in which we can develop an inference in our mind that understands how we're to meditate and what we're to meditate upon. And with that conceptual, inferential understanding, you take that into meditation practice, and it's there that we can develop direct perception, a valid cognition, which is a direct perception of what we've learned, what we've understood. So it's a lot like shooting an arrow, getting an idea of where the target is, so that we can then shoot the arrow straight to it. So in this way, we proceed. Yes.
Penata dinsa khani, lapa de ro gilo pasoni. Yunchi ngala tu sam se ne. Gewishi ni chik kamandang wachi ni sun mambo chi la lama mambo chi te ne. Tu sam haja mambo si goyak. Nega kawal tu yuri si te zane, nega te tawa te la nowa zang me ba chi. Ngon chu ba te la tawa te tinan bebe chi te. Tate pe nenga chimbo rindo wa. Tawa te tinan bebe chi te, tawa te ngon chu be chi te, tawa te manawa yungo chi te. Te rindo wa. Te chik nor chawa ina, eni chiba chik ni churan nor suwa ina, chiba chungo pardo nor si ne pyola tambe chi siya yuri. Churan chiba chik ni nor suwa ina, o teren chiba chik marda, teren chiba nyi si na, teni chik chi nor tep suwa ina, chiba chungo ni bete nor dogo yuri si chama. Pe di na yin tangpo tawa te ngon chu li manawa chi ngon chu wa ina, eni dihi kapsa gom jaya ta salang ka toba jula jiya la soba chama la, eni manawa chi lam nyamni rinpe yin do yungo yuri si. Yumchin tela ti ne, eni rawa gilau pa so ni dinsa khala lom yer, 론이 휴장하다 숨지 많다라 던데세네 투삼 양의 시대 거야 좀 치대 나와도 만화와지 뛰는 배배 치들이 야지.
So in the Tibetan monasteries, particularly in the Gelug monasteries, there is a tremendous amount of study that is done of the 5 great subjects, 5 great scriptures, and monks will spend 25, even 30 years studying. And what is this all for? It's in order to develop our view, our understanding, our perspective about the nature of things, the nature of existence, which is so important. Because if we make a mistake in the view, then it will make us mistaken all along the way in terms of our practice. So we have a saying in Tibetan that if you miscalculate the beginning phases of the moon, then you'll mistake the date for the full moon as well. If you don't have the correct date earlier on in the lunar calendar, then once you get to the 15th or the full moon, you won't have that figured correctly either. So this is why in the monastery such great attention will be spent to studying and developing the correct view. This is all for the purpose of developing that correct perception into the nature of existence, the nature of reality.
라서 다스바데게 아니 timba 마톱 bar wimbal은 인사 시다디 강드니 니바데게 냠냥지 또바 줄레 찌네 근데 직송송아 다카르세 거지 마치 기바 체명원이 또바 찌게요나 나응선 체마라 또바 찌게요나 또바 찌니 값스 땅가랑 은에 따텔라 노라면 독사 바지 리니 값스 따테 timba 마톱 바데 송게 델라양 빼 마시 식대 야보도와 timba 마톱 바데 timba 마톱 바데시나 또바 ngon 추야라 가시라 ngon 추고 요리래 라오시는 ngon 추고 요리데 아니 양 상생게 인와데 된저거 왕게 아니 똑바다 라노야 당 똑바다 공도 만펠와 당 어떤데 용거 요리시 근데 인도 자네 똑바다 띵바 마톱거 빠르데 아니 든저라서 바다 론철라서 바다 근데 나는 마대와 제네 아니 추랑 오인발라 대거래 이송거 요리.
But until you attain stability, emphasize solitude. So here we have that continuing progression, starting from the study, hearing, and reflection, then on to the meditation practice. And so whether it's an inferential valid cognition or a direct perception valid cognition that we've developed, then the next point bringing into meditation is to stabilize that. Lotus Rinpoche, that's Jesha.
This is Jimbe. Timba Matop.
So, this is
Wimbalin says any Jibadege Wimbal de Salikapse, Ta Gom Janin in that scene, Situndisi Gom Jadelikapse, any Tamsan and Amton Troadang. And Troasina, Narantu in Zilla Parchi, Troasidi, Namdo Rapala Soba, Nando Zimbola Soba, and in Gajertang, Shedang Tang, the last of Namdo Rapa, the Sukola Sigura. Troada Gubala soba, the Nichi Shin at the Shokimbo Sonsoina, and the Rupama, Jungoris, Junsina, the hiccups, any Detanga in a to lot to Bokonde to lot. This is Goa. He in the Shin the Richijamna. Tambuchunate Majuda. They're going to
So if excitement predominates, emphasize the subduing of awareness. So when we do meditate, then different kinds of obstacles can arise, such as excitement. And this refers to there being agitation in our meditation or gross thoughts that come up that are disturbing to our mind, like jealousy or pride and things like that. And when this kind of agitation or gross thoughts arise in our mind, then we need to subdue our awareness. Now, more on that.
Tadi kapsa jetang ngaran zu julang ke kapsa imba ina, ini haja topan cho na sine ke kapsa topan cho, tadi cie ni kapsa namto rakpa cie ni kapsa, ini tulo di san tuwa jika, rawa di sa rikpa mam pang mali tapsi sene, kaya sinan chowa de, ini mukpa da singwa la sopa di dokso ini zane, singwa de sa chu yong ni tapsi so na, o tadi si kore isi. Ini sanje ke koda,
So when this does happen, in terms of our conduct, what we can do is kind of bundle ourselves a little bit more, kind of withdraw a little bit, bring our awareness down somewhat, because we were too excited with these different kinds of thoughts that were arising. So this is we can subdue our awareness and kind of draw inwards, maybe put a little bit more clothing on.
Let's drink the coffee. That the coffee you say, show this and tona, and show this neat cook no matter this, no matter what people look so the
And so, abandoning things that wake us up more, like caffeine, we can eat a little yogurt. The opposite of this excitement and agitation is kind of making ourselves a little more calm or drowsy, going towards the sleepy. So it's we think that by eating yogurt that this can kind of make you a little more drowsy. So it can help to subdue that agitation or disturbance in the mind.
Lasso, any dig dog so that Ngabadegi, young Shimuk Shechina, Sintrogu need the dog so the Shimuk Chade, the Jane, Yan de Shechine, Gomtani Masarwachi. Rawa. Sichik ni amai bachi, not temprachi. Oh, the Nichiki song Songwaina, and it tell a repassing the day, so repassing the day city, this at the law in a to lot trap june. Zupoya and the Sitanchi de Zupotok tang. Any Mekan dungeon on Kapan Kalandu Sita. All the goes on you.
And if, on the other hand, torpor and depression predominate, emphasize the expansion of awareness. So this kind of sinking or torpor, fogginess that's being referred to here is not quite sleep, but it means that your mind is kind of getting a little bit drowsy or sleepy, and so, or they're just or maybe a slight lack of clarity, lack of intensity in your meditation. And in that case, it's good to loosen your clothes a little bit, shake your body, move a little bit, to wake yourself up more. Direct your eyes up into space before you. So in this way to enliven, bring more vividness to your meditation.
Tadi Yibati, Ngabati, Karishiki Yurisi, Koran Nichala, Tumlu Rimba goes on your race. Kaisina, Muma Sanji Jumdin, the Shayunduli Caps, any Korange Jungao, any Sanjilani, Gomsaro cheese in the Ashuris, and the Korange Gomjashiki Umari, any Gomtima Mambo Sabri, any Koranga Hama race. And you might tell Sanjige, Shurange, Powang, Limba, Powang to the city, drink shiki. What I think up in Keba, you see, any Powang de Drade, Kandisi younger, you see, but the Drade. Takpa the Kupa does a Haja Tambochi similar like when the Tambo said in a Drade Yabo Yonko Maris. Young Drade Haja Lulu Shena, Drade Yabo Yonko Maris. Lakwa Nicha, Katoni, Tumlu Rimbo Sene. They can Tumlu Rimbo Sin, the Lapa Seneca, Tumlu Rimbo Sin, and it's a Tawaina, and the Kate Haja Yabo Yonko city. And it's Hanji jumped in there. Shurange gom to Tarang race, Pong Dimbanaji. Tumlu Rimbe Tony, Tumswaina, that under Jibatin and Trogu del Hepadoa. Any Madinaina, Luswaina, any Sumoto Yokodoa, and Angabada Yokodoa. O Tindi in the Tani, Koran Nicha Katoli, the Karisegorichi. Ranyamda Chigoyuri, Sugoyurita.
So to find that correct degree of concentration for our meditation, then we need to work with these, between these two extremes of not letting the mind get too excited, and then also not too sleepy and dull. So we need to find the right degree, the right balance between tight concentration and loosening and relaxing. And when Buddha was alive, at one point, Ananda asked him how to meditate. He'd already heard a lot of teachings, but he didn't really know how to meditate yet. And so Buddha asked, do you know how to play the lute? And he said, yes, I do. So then Buddha reminded him about how if the string is too tight on the lute, that it won't make it a good sound. And on the other hand, if the string is too loose, then it won't have a good sound either. You need to have just the correct degree of tension on that string to get a good sound coming from the instrument. And in a similar way with meditation, you need to find that just the right degree of strong concentration, balanced by relaxation and loosening.
Yeah, that to what they get low Martin, but the Yamjalan in Sas. What that is called Chili Dwandua, Tambo Laman in the Tibase, any gom, Tapul and draw, Wimbal and draw, any gom jab, any gom jalika, the yoga time, Chili Dwajuri, that they get low Martin Paddus. Gantini Mara, Timba Mato Paddus, Sympathetic. Yugutini, low Martin Paddin Yamjalan in this. Tarum meant to the Churangla, and the take us at Tarum. Parche Yongi Yuris. Lola Parche Yongi Yudis and Timba Matop part, Lo Timbo Mazonga part. And it are meant to the Yamjaka Gomtel and the Sago Yuris, somebody.
And so we see in this progression to emphasize the subduing of awareness, emphasize the expansion of awareness until your mind is stable, emphasize even placement. When even placement has been stabilized, emphasize subsequent attainment. So, until we have developed stable placement, there can be different kinds of obstacles, hindrances that can arise in our meditation. So we need to develop this stability of our mind. And Rinpoche also mentioned previously, which I'm sorry I missed, was that sometimes in the introduction to the view, people receive it very quickly and easily. They get the view introduced from the guru, but if they don't practice with it, if they don't stabilize it, they can lose it. So again, it's important to keep on practicing the meditation until we can develop the stability in it.
Take it in the chi, and it take Yamjalatin, Jitoblan in these hours. That Lola Martin Barton in this end, any Jumatella Lord Timbo Chande, Lord Timbo Chande, and in Yamjad Jitop Nikala Gomjakores. That day comes Yamjat Chipulani, Conlan in these Sakori, Sukura. That day comes Jitop Seate, Julana by G Capsuri. And a Kalas of a capsule in a young Yamjana Jinsene. Jitop de Kalas of a capsule in a Comba Jali capsule in a yanda, Melakita Shini capsule in anda, Sa Cha Nyando, see Nini capsule in a yanda. Yamjana Jinsene, and a gom to Jitop all at Chicoris. All the Sukuri.
Then when even placement has been stabilized, emphasize subsequent attainment. So what all of this so far has been been dealing with the meditation and the session of meditation, the session of meditative equipoise. But once we have developed stability in our meditation session, then the next step is to bring that into our daily life throughout all of our activities, what are meant by the subsequent attainment. And this means when we're walking, sitting, eating, or sleeping, on all of these occasions, to bring that experience from our meditative absorption, meditative stabilization, into all of our activities, to bring that experience over into our activities throughout the day.
그 곰치 rabla 냠샤의 지톱니데 예와메 바지 손나 야보요리 손나 곰치 ang당보들라 애니 냠샤의 지톱니데 예와메 바 년단치나 예와메 바 어떤지 연구.
So for the best meditations, it's said that there is not even any separation or division between their periods of meditative session and outside of meditation throughout the day and night.
왜나 공사장군 자와 입시 나오게 한데 송고도와 공개 님마르라 다미가 따와대 nga tinjin jamso sia de kawalan dok condition dok dokdang condition dok dela samlo tang samlo haja numbo re patchi de tang za jie de da mi ba sia de da mi sia de o nga yu mari san de pha ya ya wa mai ba mi lo mi tang condition men dok sam ba de nimare la thima ni he chaksum thima ni he chapje de samlo tang ge yu sung go do wa tate pe masi samji mecha pa nga thola dangwa cha de tate nyamya kapso inji muni samlo tang go yu marwa pene churang khala sali kapso yang samlo tang nan de ge yuri gomba jali kapso samlo tang nan de ge yuri khosi samlo tang ne shirang go yu marwa nga se ya de kawalan do tere be ji de za jien de pene bo ma ka na nam dun sing de pa se gori sing da se ya de kholo sing da de we 제마 싱다레베 싱디 싱다레베 싱다세아데 베나 모다지를 빼자와이나 항아란 주수 퐁들 빼자는 거 강발락발라서 바트들 나카완도 카완도 짜지엔데 어디지 삼었던 거서 다데 당아 나니 야슈테리야다.
So there's a really wonderful instruction that we can receive, we can understand from comments by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, where he said that in the course of a day, I will think about selflessness 21 times. So this is a matter of really investigating. He says, I look for, where is Tenzin Gyatso? How does Tenzin Gyatso exist? And analyze it 21 times a day. So this is something that we can do, throughout our day. It doesn't take a long time to think about these things, to investigate them. We can reflect on it, as we're eating or as we're walking. Other times, besides when we're in our formal meditation, and not to just accept it as, oh yes, the Buddha says I'm selfless, but to really investigate it, examine it. There's teachings that Buddha gave to examine a chariot. Where is the chariot? Is it the wheels? Is it the yoke? Is it, where is the chariot? We could take a more modern example of a car and to look through, the parts of a car, saying, where is this car that we feel really so, and in the case of ourselves, like our own body, looking through the parts of our body. Is the head my body? Is the hand my body? Where is this body supposed to be? And in this way, just really investigate this, for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to say this to us, that he contemplates this 21 times a day, I think is really a supreme instruction for us to how to bring our meditative practice into our daily life.
라소 애니 되게 제바들 문튼번 같이 망나 주바스라는 데사시 아 데인다 어찌게 냠린시들이 값으니 냠린싱킨들라니 빠체 망보주 용하다 주니리 거랑 주삽잖아 뇌삽송요리 왜냐 지금 잠보당 슈바다지 야보지 용한 아니 때라 세드그 빠체 용거리 메신베 차도신의 빠체 용거리 아니 드라마다 빠체 망보요리 근데 자네 아니 멘튼베 빠체 라서 방가치 들에서 와이나 깝되는 주바시거리 주바데 가장의 주랑을 땅야요와 뉴질에 지면냠베 주바 농알라 따는지 주바 슈라 깝지야 아니 니심지 주바 시다 주바 나바숨데 데리.
If unconducive conditions are many, emphasize threefold patience. So there are many kinds of unconducive conditions, hindrances, obstacles that can arise. In fact, as our practice becomes more profound, there can be more serious, difficult obstacles arise for this. It's just the nature of things. When someone becomes very focused on practice intensively, then there can be different kinds of forces, maras that obstruct, or people who are jealous or something. Different kinds of unconducive conditions may arise. So at that time, you need to practice patience. And there's a threefold division of patience, which I've written down in notes. Those are the three patiences: the patience of not thinking anything of harm, not retaliating harm, patience of willingly accepting suffering, and then the patience to undergo austerities for the sake of Dharma. These kinds of patiences we need to rely upon.
야야. 애니 뉴질에 지면냠베 주바시야데 지면냠바시야데 가르송송.
Minyamba not thinking, but
만냠바 뉴질에 지면냠바.
Kinian ingana sana su pa ma nupa chebara.
네네네. 드가랑을 바꿔래. 파 코랑라 애니 뉴지데라 애니 파라 누바 마세와치라. 지면냠바시나 코랑라 땅아주 가르쳐 그랬지. 초양烂초西洋烂没西득장烂没득 창 주장烂창 문제시네 예요아 대인다고 직디 값을 삼로 당고리 서거 지면냠 봤어야 돼.
대시 가래 양처소나
주장烂초 저 컨트롤 사우나 라초니 그 말이지. 득장烂没득 저 잡으나요 파주니 그 말이지. 창 주장烂창 문제 저 매시에 독자 나오나 파시니 그 말이지. 숨차서 제 가래시나 토양 남으로 늦게 남는 창조자 남으로 제 가래래
they rare sonona nani na rare like you dumbo de
주자 남으로 저 컨트롤 사나 파사니 그 말이지.
So some different divisions of this first one, where if someone gets angry at you, not getting angry in return. If they strike you, to not hit them back. If they criticize us, to not criticize in retaliation.
창주장 란창문도 창주네 어처럼 말아버리 처럼 뭐 독자 세리 처럼 독 신라문다 둘 민세 남겨들으세요.
And if someone deprecates us or abuses us, to not not demean them in response.
Yeah. That is the Gasaida. Oh, yeah.
So
That
this
is
not thinking anything of harm has all these implications of not retaliating in any of these ways.
Any the Gubadela, Dundu, Chayin Chin, but in terms of Lopalan in the Sas. And they ke Debatang, Dumbatang, Chabata, Shibatan, Din and a Karishak Yurisitane, and then the Cha, Shedang, the Moksunke. Anything the Chichuran Nine, Hachang the Chachimboji Yolachi, and it's Lahacha Shedang Chimboji Yolachi. Hajat the Mokan technique of Sakadishi Gorisitane, and it de la Nimbo Tintap Goni Dongers, Nimbo Tintap Siade, do Chak Nimbola Madopa Gombatang. And it Shedang Nimbola Samba and Ninja Gombatang. The Mok Nimbola and it dim dirtang come you dola sopa to the Goya, or to the Goris only.
Gary Timola, Gary Sumbe.
Dim dir, Nekata Tang your
Lotus.
one.
Lotus. Lotus. Awesome. So now in the ninth one here, if desire, hope, attachment, and craving are great, emphasize forceful renunciation. Rinpoche here mentions all of the delusions, actually, of attachment, aversion, and ignorance. And if any of those are emerging in a very strong way, to oppose them with force. And we have some notes that Rinpoche wrote out that if it's attachment that is predominant, to meditate on ugliness is a way to forcefully eliminate attachment. If it's anger or hatred that's predominating, it's meditation on love, which will forcefully, strongly act as a remedy for that. And then the antidote to ignorance, meditation on interdependence. So in this way, when we find that there is a particular delusion that's very strong and predominating, we should use these strong methods to challenge it.
That's all. Any Chubade, that's somebody Ninja, she Chuaina, that Gom Jali Capsule, Gom Sia Ding, to touch the same Korankatola. Shene the Chipu, la Gom Sikamadua, retreat the day Chaditane, ko Gomlan, sometimes somebody Ninja, sometimes Tony Katawan, sometimes Damiba, sometimes Jiram the Zoram Lasoba, same Koraman, Dulik Tapsitela, Haja Mamboji Sijudua. The day in Dutani, any somebody Ninja Lasoba, young, she Chunchung, that ya compel Masoma, the Sonsoina, any Sancho Saint Joan in this Agor, somebody. Jetan Dinani. Sancho que sing jude any somebody ninja chadi yori. Somebody ninja Sancho que sim that jetang somebody ninja she chung so in a Sancho que sing younger city tane any Sancho que sing turns hog. Tangarang rang jiban zimbade kande tokja imba. Rang jiban zimbe long imba tea juncha imba tea kolgo yoris. Sancho que sing young say ate. Rang Jibanjin, Koa Toma Mibane, Daba and Koalan Chansung Bari. Any Yin Jibanjin is Hanji the Sanju Sumbana, any Sanji Sambari. Rang Jiban Zimbati, any Junjo Gombala Samotang, Yin Jiban Zimbati, Yunti Rang Samotang, any Rang Jinji the Lutang, Yin Jinji the Tang the Lang, Sanju Sin Sola Suaina, any Sambata Ninji the Judy Jagayuri, Sumbari.
And then if love and compassion are weak, emphasize the cultivation of bodhicitta. So when we do meditation in retreat, it's not simply to pacify our mind, to calm our mind, to make our mind quiescent. Sometimes it's to meditate on love and compassion, bodhicitta. Sometimes it's to meditate on selflessness and emptiness. Sometimes it's to meditate on the generation and completion stages of Tantra, there's many kinds of meditation. And in the case that we find that our love and compassion are weak, meditating on bodhicitta means, on the one hand, we can familiarize ourselves with the drawbacks of selfishness and the benefits of cherishing others. To think about how my self-centered attitude has caused so many problems for me and all of the sufferings of samsara. Whereas when I dedicate myself to the welfare of others, this leads to full enlightenment and all happiness. And so in this way, to encourage ourselves to develop bodhicitta, and in doing so, and to increase the love and compassion in our mind. When we meditate like this, then this can help us to develop these qualities.
Lasso. The day do Zane, Tang and Dordu, Dinani Karishik in Sinam, Namja Judonga Chushili Gaps. So Lunga yi some de la. Any that Luina and Angaina and the Yisomina, the tea some day. So Dapo Jane. Dapo Jane, Lam Zangu Tola ya Chili Tapshizoyate. They hack goya the Dambo Gachin, the long nimba the Carreri, Yalam Zambo the Carrerida. Hack had any same day report Zingstone. Then look in the Dichi Shigami, and Architect the Dichi Shigami, same can Namton the Dichi Shigami in Sambachine, any the Lam Zambus Hola Yarimbe, each in the Rolly Tapshizoyate. And the Indutan is Hanji Chomdi in the Dani Dag and going in la, Dani Dag Drayans. Oh, then this one, then the cheese wine, Dani Dag and Gona Chaggy is somebody.
So when we attend to Dharma, when we practice Dharma, it's all for the sake of taking control of our body, speech, and mind, gaining the freedom to direct our own body, speech, and mind in positive ways, meaning that we've learned, what are good ways for my body, speech, and mind to be and to act, and what are negative ways for my body, speech, and mind to act, and to refrain, to hold ourselves back from letting our body, thinking I'm not going to use my body for these kinds of negative purposes, or my speech for this kind of negative purpose, or I'm not going to let my mind go into these inadvisable modes of thinking. But rather, I'm going to direct them in these positive ways, with my physical actions, my vocal actions, and my thinking and my awareness. I'm going to direct it in positive ways. Like Buddha said, we are our own enemy and we're our own protector. So when we act like this, when we practice like this, then we are in effect acting as our own Lord and protector.
Lasso. Tatring a patchet chutun telling some yagging, watering alayang. Like a text you, and it Katsang Kong Trawatang, drink Trawat Sol and Dra Yujuk Chiransu. Use and Dela Yujuk, Dra Yujuk, Trawayu, not Trawatan was.
So we'll stop here for today. I have some other things that I need to attend to. But if anyone has any questions regarding the subject matter that we've covered last week or this time, then we could take some time for that.
Lasso.
Like Tom has his hand up.
I cannot hear. We cannot hear.
There we go. Okay, gotcha. Hey, there was just some interference on the line when David was translating the threefold patiences. So I think I got not thinking harm and willingly accepting, but I couldn't hear the third one at all.
Tate dada jurja juchi yore anite rechola churang tang Jampa Tharchin churang ke wa ti
Yeah,
zubas
okay, so we will be sending that out to you. But these three patiences, the patience of not thinking anything of harm, which means not retaliating in any way against harm. The second one, patience of willingly accepting suffering, so bearing through difficult circumstances. And the third one, the patience to undergo austerities for the sake of Dharma. So the willingness to do difficult things or practice patience for listening to Dharma or practicing Dharma.
laso
Thank you.
tuchi nang tam. Thank you tam.
Was there another question there what someone was trying to ask?
Now, I'm chicken tissue chubachil.
Oh.
Tandar muje jeba chemada wisum chemas chuksonan so titol chik
Ta jiba se ade pena ta under la so ba tindle tine ta yang da la tine ene to ba jule chi ya la so ba dang lame tinde chi lame ma dangwa la so ba tinde ta dang tindle tine ene to ba jule chi ya tinde yuri ngusum chema se ade jiba chema te ngusum chema ole chone ene churang ka to ba jule chi ne ale kap de jiba ka kap so ngala to ba tinde chi chi song 다다 무슨 나랑은 영화가 토는 무슨 제마가 토는 또 받는지 제송사 봐. 어든지 요리시.
So Nematsomo asked for a little more elucidation of inferential and direct valid cognitions. And Rinpoche said that the inferential valid cognition is an understanding that we derive through reasoning, through looking at a correct reason and the logic behind it, then the understanding that we develop in that way through our own reasoning is that inferential cognition, which can be a valid understanding. And so then when we take that into meditation, when we think about what we have understood conceptually through inference, through reasoning and logic, then when we have a direct experience of that, then that is the valid cognition of direct perception.
That's all. 다디 거데 마음 발랑아 추 로릭 드는데 내지 시고 삼대와 로릭 드는데 당 심송 앞지 자지 그 심근 로당다 로인 로당데 마음 발랑아 추 아니 즉 도바다 도민당 아니 무슨다 이주의 지바당但是거데 즉 로인 로당데 마음 발랑아 추 추치지 니만 이슬을 zon네 근데 시와이나 아니 심세야 되던데 이제 심을 타라 되던데 진도 삼바지게 this 하고는 그래지.
So we should take a couple of days sometimes to look at mind and mental factors, the 51 mental factors and the 6 main consciousnesses, and to investigate, what is the nature of conceptual 7. Okay, Rinpoche said 7 main consciousnesses. Okay. To understand the difference between conceptual minds and non-conceptual minds. If we do some study about this, go into the types of mental factors and types of minds, then I think it would help to understand this kind of subject.
Next time. Lasso, anything to yin.
Okay, so we'll bring in. Oh no, says Serenity's raised her hand. Have we heard Serenity's question?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yes, we did. Okay, that's good. I'm sorry. Right, Tom. Okay, so Rinpoche says we will stop here for today.
Panden Sawe Lama Rinpoche Taki Chiworo Peme Denshul Kadin Chembe Kone Jesone Kuson Tuki Mudu Zedu So Umsote Ramjan Kyamne Kyasue Chenla Tang Denye Dendre Lua Mepet Kebara Cheme Seye Lazo Ki Sewa Ishe Chingche Dengderepo Yekun Chenle Karke Kama Pe Kasue Donga Chazo Menga Ome Suwe Lamda Nyamdo Ki Yunten Zeka Getere Shabdes Kanki Sansum Doche Rankam Sule Wara Denje Lungdo Tampech Shiju Tusam Gombe Dude Yesa Dengembe Chenle Tachi Shu Pade Lame Nambara Tabala Kichi Samya Luta Mikesh Chinze Wara Tungwe Mugu Ki Lame Chenla Semla Juba Shu Kewa Kundu Yangda Lama Tang Jeme Chuki Pela Longchuch Sada Lamke Yunde Rabzo Ne Pade Lame Kopan Yoto Shu
O glorious and precious root Guru, please take seat of lotus at my crown, caring for me in your great kindness. Please grant attainments of body, speech, and mind. Om Swasti. May the blessings of infinite seas of our places of refuge, the force of the two truths, infallible interdependence, and especially the hosts of deities of immortal well-being, now rain down the magnificent splendor of their wisdom and power of longevity. The Lord of the dance of all victors, enlightened activity is Karmapa. Your unquenchable thirst for the inner essence of his traditions, doctrines, of discourses, tantras, great seal, great perfection, and pith instructions has brought the qualities of signs on the spiritual path, your experience and realization to their full flowering. May your life be firm. May the wisdom mysteries of your body, speech, and mind be as perfectly firm as a Vajra's own immutable elements. May your gatherings of disciples who study and practice the sacred teachings of scripture and realization by listening and contemplation and meditation cover the earth. May your activity reach its ultimate consummation. May I never for an instant develop wrong views of the glorious Guru's life and deeds, but with devotion seeing all they do as excellent, may the Guru's blessings enter my mind.
Dajin Simjin Damji Loju Sendo Wada Sinje Labda So Arju Lamda Ndo Wada Sinje Labda So Alantar Basa Wada Sinje Labda So Rantar Yishi Sinje Wada Sinje Labda So Daso Namje Judan Tumba Ye Jidar Samba Yivjin Drupa Da Ne Donki So Badu Jibe So Nye Wada Shi Wada Sinje Labda So Sanjo Sinjo Rumbo Chi Maji Bana Jijurji Jiba Nyamba Mi Baya Kongne Kongden Pewai Sha Toni Dawa Rumbo Chi Maji Bana Jijurji Jiba Nyamba Mi Baya Kongne Kongden Pewai Sha Lasso Ani Chuti Tila Samju Shukin Tamal Kadin Che. Thank you everyone. Tuji Che.